Hi there, this is Into Vietnam News, broadcast every day on VITV. In the next 10 minutes, you'll be updated on the business scenes in the country, main stories of the day. The Vietnam Business Forum 2014 says Vietnam sees better business climate. Economic growth will hit 5.8% in 2014. And Eurocharm White Book reports improved business environment. Addressing the Vietnam Business Forum 2014 opening in Hanoi on December the 2nd, the Minister of Planning and Investment Bùi Quang Vinh said, efforts by business community and the government have to significantly improve Vietnam business climate. The Vietnamese government commits to execute major measures to support business further in 2015. First, stable macroeconomy will be maintained. The government will perfect its market mechanism, facilitate the country to further integrate into the world market, boost economic reforms and fight against corruption. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng said at the cabinet meeting on December the 1st, the Vietnam's economy is expected to grow more than 5.8% this year, accelerating from last year thanks to steady growth in exports. He said the macroeconomy is more stable with results such as the exchange rate, state budget, exports and imports, and inflation being better controlled. World crude oil keeps falling sharply. The government estimates Vietnam will lose 20 trillion dong in 2015. If the oil prices hover at around $20 a barrel, the government requires the finance ministry to make plans for the lower income from crude oil and to avoid state budget deficit. Also, in the monthly meeting, the Central Bank Governor Nguyễn Văn Bình said loans by banks in Vietnam will hit the target of 13% this year. Now, Eurocharm on December the 1st officially launched the 7th edition of its White Book of Trade and Investment Issues and Recommendations. The publication aims to summarize for Vietnamese government key issues regarding the Vietnam business climate that affect European companies in the country, including the Vietnam-EU Free Trade Agreement, education and training, taxation and intellectual property rights, as well as administrative requirements, implementation and enforcement of the legal framework and market access. Over the last 12 months, the Eurocharm has observed and welcomed the Vietnamese government efforts and reforms, but it spread the belief that more would need to be done to secure achievements and promote further investment and trade. In the market, in Eurocharm third quarter business climate index, Vietnam jumped from 66 to 74 points between the second and third quarters of 2014. Now, on the sidelines of the White Book 2015 launching, VITV reporter had an interview with Ms. Nicolette Colony, chairwoman of Eurocharm in Vietnam, to better feature the expectations and suggestions of the EU businesses to the Vietnamese government. Watch the following talk for more details.
Thank you very much for sharing with VITV today. So this is the 7th time Eurocharm published the White Book. So how is the difference of this year's book compared with the previous ones?
In terms of the 13 sector committees that we've had, we've changed some of the issues because they have been resolved, which is very good for the sector committees. The format really remains the same, but we've looked at more the FTA, which is going to be signed hopefully Q2 next year. So we've focused on the sector committees on the implementation on the FTA and the FTA negotiations. So the format very similar, but the issues have changed because obviously the government is now resolving some of the issues that the sector committees had in the past.
The White Book is for the Vietnamese government to improve its business climate. So up to now, how does the European business community assess the Vietnamese business environment?
Well, the latest business climate index is at 74. If you look at, I think, Q1 2011, it was below 50. So we've seen great improvements over the last 2 to 3 years in terms of the how European businesses feel about doing business in Vietnam. I think the main thing with that is that obviously inflation is now under control. It was a huge issue for many companies in Vietnam, both European and domestic companies.
So with Vietnam joining TPP, FTA and AEC, what proposals from the White Book that the Vietnamese government should primarily focus on to quickly improve its business environment?
We've made various suggestions. I think there's probably about 120 recommendations in the White Book for the government. I think it's making sure that we do have a level playing field for foreign and domestic companies to actually operate business. It's very important that when you invest in Vietnam, that things are clear and transparent. So administration reforms are very important to FTI, to come into Vietnam and to continue to invest. We'd like to see more of the issues resolved over the next 12 months, especially with the FTA being signed. It's very important that companies that want to come to Vietnam understand how to do business and understand the licenses and be able to actually, when they come to Vietnam, start to invest, but actually start their business operations as quickly as possible. So we'd like to see those issues speeded up. But the government is doing a lot of work at the moment. The National Assembly is just convened. So we've seen some positive changes on the investment law and enterprise law and also foreign ownership. So we're getting there. I think it just needs to probably happen a little bit quicker for both European and domestic companies in Vietnam.
Thank you again for sharing with VITV today. Hope to see you soon.
The market research company Akanta World Panel said the Vietnam Real Consumption Index unexpectedly dropped to 7.4 points after maintaining the 8.1 level in the past 6 months. The weakening index is attributed to the Vietnamese consumers' tightening budget over fast consumer goods, as 47% of urban households have significantly cut their spending on the goods. The Real Consumption Index measures consumer confidence in their spending based on the shopping capacity, consumption readiness, and real consumption. Now, Chow Tai Fook Enterprises, a Hong Kong company, is ready to invest in a $4 billion casino project in the central Vietnam province of Quảng Nam. The company is looking to tap a boom in gaming demand as more Chinese travel overseas. Vietnamese policymakers are seeking to replicate the success of Singapore and Macau in attracting game resorts and tourism. Vina Capital Group, Vietnam's largest fund manager, is developing the Quảng Nam project and had almost completed negotiations with an unnamed foreign partner, according to an October report by Vietnam Investment Review. And the final part is summary of local gold prices, forex and stock market. Now is the end of the bulletin. Thank you so much for your time with us. We'll be back at the top of the hours. Till then, bye-bye.